Shabbat Shalom, and welcome to Take Home Torah, Toldot edition. Ve'ele Toldot Yitzchak ben Avraham. This is the story of Yitzchak, son of Avraham. But the word translated here as this is the story, Ve'ele Toldot. Toldot has a connotation not just of any old story, but a story of descendants. A story that includes the generations, the history that one has. Not just a story, but a story of you and your people going forward. And we definitely have that here. For while we do indeed have the story of Yitzchak, we do hear about how he dug wells that were covered up by King Avimelech. He had to deal with that situation, just as his father had to. And like his father, we hear how to King Avimelech, he referred to his wife, Rebecca, as his sister, just as Avram referred to Sarah as his sister. Those stories are in this Parsha, but also front and center in this Parsha. It's the story of his children, Yaakov and Esau. And the story of how they relate and what that will set up also going forward. We hear the story of how they fought in the womb, in Rivka's womb, so much so that she cries out to God to say, what is happening here? And she receives the prophecy of how the younger will rule over the elder. And we hear the story of Esau selling his birthright to Yaakov for a pot of lentils, for a bowl of lentils. And the Parsha finishes up that really wrenching story of Yitzchak giving Yaakov the blessing of the firstborn, a situation set up by Rivka in order to fulfill the prophecy that she was given, but a situation that cut to the heart of Esau. So much so that he has to cry out and say, do you not have a blessing for me, Father? And setting up a situation of strife between the two brothers. Those are the stories right now of our descendants in this part of our Torah. And so this strife is so big, this strife between these two, with Esau threatening to kill his brother Yaakov when his father is no longer around. And so Rivka convinces Yitzchak to send Yaakov off, to send him off to her brothers so that he can be safe. And it says in Genesis 28, verse 5, Vayishlach Yitzchak et Yaakov, Vayelech Padam Aram. And Yitzchak sent Yaakov off, and he went to Padam Aram, Lavan ben Betuel Arami, to Laban, son of Betuel the Arami, Achi Rivka, the brother of Rivka, Em Yaakov ve'Esau, mother of Yaakov and Esau. And Nechama Leibowitz asks in her studies, why do we add Rivka, Aim, Yaakov, Esau? Why do we add for Rivka, mother of Jacob and Esau? Is that not really obvious at this point? And is that the point right now of the sending off? We already know that. We've just heard the whole mishigas of all the stories. Why is that sentence? Why is that part of the verse there? There is nothing extraneous in the Torah, we are taught. And Rashi, one of the most famous, if not the most famous, the ultimate of Torah commentators, Rashi must have some answer for this. What does Rashi say about this? Rashi says about Aim Yaakov Ve'esa, I do not know what the addition of those words is intended to tell us. Really? Why? Why did Rashi feel the need to tell us? I don't know. I mean, really, he has left many passages in the Torah unexplained. Nechama Leibowitz tells us, he says, he could have very well passed over our text without comments since he didn't have anything to make. Why? Why would he do that? Rashi, Nechama Leibowitz says, left those texts unexplained, which were so plain to him. He left them to us as a challenge to commentators and scholars to search, probe deeper, and labor in their efforts to find their own solution. Rashi was a true teacher. Rashi understood the magic of the Torah, that the Torah has no wasted words. But sometimes those messages are opaque. We cannot see through them. But that doesn't mean that they're any less important. And Rashi is humble enough as a teacher to say, I do not see a reason why these are added, but I'm going to leave it to you to figure out. And one thing I teach to my students about that magic of the Torah is that it transcends time. That the Torah is written in a way that it speaks to each of us in our generation and in our time, giving us the messages and the teachings that we need to hear to go through that particular time. And this is no exception. And so I'm going to take up Rashi's challenge and tell you what I think in this time, the importance of adding mother of Jacob and Esau is to us. Because Rivka is reinforcing that she is not just the mother of Yaakov, as much it may feel in this story, that she may favor him. There's loads of stories of why that happened and how she feels, but she is ultimately mother to both those boys. She cares deeply for both of them. They are both important. And she knows that she needs to be mentioned, and the Torah she needs to be mentioned as mother of both of them. That strife may be where it is, but we still need to come together as siblings, as brothers. And that reminds me of two other very poignant moments in the Torah that I feel are passed up far too many times and brings this message to us of coming together. One is in Genesis 25, verse 9. We just read it last week. Vayikberu oto Yitzchak vayismael banav, and his sons, Abraham's sons, Yitzchak and Ishmael, buried him. They came together, Vayikberu oto Yitzchak vayishmael banav. These brothers came together to bury their father. Because whatever strife was between them, they knew that division at times needed to end, and they needed to find a way to be together. And those words will be echoed in a couple of weeks ahead. Genesis 35, verse 29. When Yaakov dies, Vayikberu oto Esav v'Yaakov banav, and he was buried by his sons Esau and Jacob. Again, these two brothers, so separated by division, came together in this time of grief and need to bury their father. And that's what I want to take us to this week. That in this time of division, in this time when we feel so far apart from each other, it is important to remember that we always need to find a way to once again come together as a people to help each other through grieving times and to be able to continue Toldot, to tell our story of generations. Good Shabbos.